Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of NLUD Conversations. I am Manas Mahajan, today's host, and it is an absolute honor for me to welcome Mr. Anil Lale sir, Executive Vice President, Legal and Regulatory at JioStar, and have an engaging conversation with him on extensive points spanning from roles of an in-house counsel to how they have incorporated artificial intelligence-based tools in their workflow processes and advice for students who are entering into this sector with an interest in in-house roles or in intellectual property-based litigation. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Manas.
I would like to begin by asking, you've spent almost more than 2 decades in this field. Although I think looks can be deceiving, does not look like you spent 2 decades, but sure. How did that journey start? Did you imagine when you were starting out your career, you would reach this place? Was it on the cards, or is it something which was figured out eventually when you took the steps?
Yeah. So while you cannot chart out your whole professional journey in front of you, but you always think about, even if you look at starting a startup today, what do you think? You try to identify that gap which is there in the market and try to fill that gap. And that is the best product that you can get. So somehow from when I was a student, I always had my eye on these gaps. So the biggest gap that I identified when I was in my final year of law was that, there are more than 1,500 students just out of my state who pass out in law. And immediately they have to start competing with people who have 20 years, 30 years of experience in constitutional law, criminal law, civil law. So how do you create a level playing field? So that was the thought process back then. And incidentally, the first meaningful amendment to the Copyright Act happened in 1999, which was very close to when, I was doing my law. And I realized during my law that even the professors were not updated with the new evolution of the Copyright Act.
Correct.
And along with that, other IP streams also interested me, but copyright intrigued me a lot because it was connected to the creative economy, and I kind of was fascinated with the whole concept. And I also thought that this is the gap, this is the niche that I can look into. And that actually paid off, as in my focus was completely into specializing in copyright, understanding more about the business of media entertainment. So even when I was in my final year, I used to tell my classmates that someday, because in my state, the copyright litigations and all those things were not that many. So I always realized that Mumbai is the place to be in if I want to be in this space. So I used to say, I will go to Mumbai, I will, be in IP litigation. Maybe I will work with companies like Sony and all. At that point of time, that was the biggest, Star, Sony and all. So I used to say that, and thankfully it manifested for me. But yes, that manifestation happened because of a lot of effort that went into building myself at various stages to reach where I am, and going deep into specializations.
That's a very wholesome journey and an approach, I would say, beyond all things, right? To have a certain idea and confidence what you want to do and take up in the future. So you mentioned a keen interest towards intellectual property. Now, how has that landscape changed? Because today the issues which are at hand were, I think, effectively unimaginable when you were contemplating to enter the profession. In the contemporary developments, especially with AI and AI generated content, what are issues which companies are facing, right, which require a regulatory intervention in your understanding?
So the beauty of copyright, which I told you, why the copyright intrigued me a lot, right? Why copyright intrigued me also is because it's very related to the question that you just asked. Because if you look at the evolution of this law, copyright law itself, why was copyright law necessary? It became a necessity only after a technological means of commercial level copying came into existence, which first of all was the printing press, right? Only even after, I think 100 years after that was the first Copyright Act which came in, or more. I don't remember exactly the timeline, but yeah. After that, every technological evolution, every step of technological evolution which led to creation, copying and distribution, right?
Right.
That evolution also kind of led to an evolution in the law, which is copyright law. And that evolution you'll be seeing across every amendment of Copyright Act, you'll be seeing the evolution. And this evolution is not just relevant to India. It is relevant to the whole world from the perspective of WIPO or WTO treaties that you see. All of these things is because creation, content, all of these things is universal. You create something in India and it is not protected in US, then there is a huge leakage, right? As in, you need to get that protected. So that is the reason why I came into this space also. And as to your question, it will keep evolving. Yesterday, it would have been, if you look at it, 2000, in the early 2000s, the issues were more like, how do you prevent CD ripping? How do you stop camcorder recording? Right. In early 2020s, the issues were like, how do I stop my content being compressed into a 140 MB file or 25 MB file and being sent through Telegram channels or through WhatsApp channels or whatever it is. So all these issues, keep on evolving, and we keep on identifying different ways to make sure that the law, technology and business goes hand in hand. And that is the role of an in-house counsel in this, specifically in this field, right? And with the AI coming in, the questions that requires answers are many, starting from authorship.
Right.
Today, the Indian law, the copyright law, and so does many other countries, the law does not recognize authorship for a AI generated work. While JioStar as a company, we have deployed AI and we believe AI is going to be the future for content creation, not generation, creation. So there is a substantial difference between these two. Generation is where human intervention is not there. AI is generating it as and how it, from a simple prompt. Right. But AI using AI as a tool to create is something that we are looking at, where we use AI to create certain visuals, certain imagery, but the compilation of that, the underlying script, a lot of those things comes together to create the work.
So it's just a generation medium, not the end.
It's a creation tool. Not a generation medium. Okay. That is the point.
The other way around.
Yeah, other way around. So these are the things, like when we discuss internally also, how to use AI, how to use AI responsibly. So when you use AI, it is not just about creation. It's also about what goes into the AI system. What are you feeding the AI LLM model? So for example, if you're feeding all the content into your whatever our IP into an LLM model, it becomes the learning of the larger LLM model. Then a competitor also gets
the same.
Yes. So you are creating competition without an edge. Right. How do you responsibly use AI? So a lot of my time now goes into thinking on these aspects. How to use AI in a reasonable manner which protects our IP at the same time, and similarly, while I'm thinking of all of these things, I don't take away the power of the creative team from using and leveraging AI. So how do you balance all of these things? How do you bring governance frameworks into the whole work that we are doing? So because we also deal with third-party IPs as well, right? We are responsible for that. So how do we bring strong governance models along with that? So all of these things are the things that keep on happening, and the evolution that you spoke about. This is the evolution that happens from a professional on the professional front, which is intrinsically linked to how the technology and the business evolves.
So, as I understand, the approach has been largely to work with it, not avoid it, not fight it, understand its capabilities and see what kind of contributions and efficiency it can bring into systems. And it's good to know that you at your organization have adopted it. But for the benefit of our viewers, what are, let's say, some key 2-3 initiatives so we can understand how that adoption process comes in, right? You mentioned the difference between generation and creation. How does that actually play out for somebody with a layperson understanding of production or media?
So, if you have seen the first AI-powered CDs, which was created by us, was released, and that AI powered series, we consciously use the word AI powered and not AI generated, because you cannot just put a prompt into an AI LLM model, say that, okay, generate the series, this is the story. I put the whole story and say generate the series. At least currently, that is not possible. Maybe in the future it may be
prompt
possible.
itself is an ideation and effort.
Prompt itself is an ideation, but again, how elaborate is the ideation?
Yes.
Right? Was a prompt written by an AI?
Often they generate a prompt based on these.
So a lot of these questions come in. Then we get into the matter, what is the human contribution into the whole play, right? I'm not sure whether you are aware of this copyright matter in the US called the Saraya of Dawn.
Please tell us.
So Saraya of Dawn is where a comic book compilation was done by the author using AI, and she tried to get a copyright registration in the US, and first it was granted, but then it was disclosed that it was an AI generated one. Then the Copyright Office withdrew the registration and said that the registration cannot be done. Then she challenged that, saying that, okay, the images which are part of the comic book may be AI generated, but the compilation, the arrangement has been done by her. So there is a substantial human intervention in the whole thing. So the Copyright Office gave the copyright for the compilation, but not for the images. So do you understand all the intricacies that are coming into play here, right? So even a compilation under Copyright Act has a copyright in it. Right. So if you look at a cinematograph film, again, under Indian law, that is one work that doesn't require a human author, because the author of a cinematograph film can be a producer, and the producer can be a legal entity as well.
Right. It could be a production house company.
Correct. Because why?
Not be a person.
Why? Because a cinematograph film is actually a compilation of a lot of works coming into one this thing and getting recorded.
Right.
So a lot of nuances underlay this whole process, and when you look at, when I'm trying to distinguish between creation is AI powered and not AI generated, the distinction that we are trying to make is that when we make a show, yes, we do utilize AI to a great extent, but there is substantial human contribution which overlays this whole thing, which makes this whole final product a very copyrightable product even under existing Indian law. While there is a committee formed currently by the government to look into all of these issues as to whether and how, whether there should be a copyright in AI generated work, not powered, AI generated work, and whether if something like that happens, who should be the author, owner, and all those things. It's still under consideration. But we cannot wait for that to happen. We have to look at how best we can deal with the law as it stands today, because innovation and technological evolution will not wait for anyone.
Right, exactly.
So we have to move with the flow or fall behind.
What immediately stands out for you? I'm sure you come across various individuals who are starting out their journeys professionally. Some key features which just stand out, right? So that ones know what to focus on. Something, a quality or a value which is just instantly recognizable in your mind as, okay, this is something which aligns or is well suited for this profession or this sector.
So it is not just this sector, but I think almost all sectors, wherever it's my experience in my life as well, is that when we start out as lawyers, we try to spread ourselves across everywhere because we don't know where to actually dig down and specialize. So I actually look at people who has that clarity of thought, who have attained that clarity of thought, and very few, actually, when you pass out of law school, very few have that clarity of thought, but there are people like that who knows that, yes, this is the place I want to be, and they put in the effort, they specialize in a particular area, and they come to you with absolute clarity and well read,
right?
And they come to you with a solution oriented approach. These are the things that I actually these are things that which catch my eye normally. I mean, there are some students who I have interacted with, like last set of people who interned with us. At the end of their projects, they did a presentation directly to me, and I was amazed with some of those presentations as the kind of detailing, the kind of thoroughness that they have shown. It was amazing, and the kind of understanding of law, of the technology, the business, everything was amazing. And that's the kind of people who actually go, a long way at least as in-house counsels.
So clarity and concentration in a certain direction.
Yes.
That certainly stands out.
That's true.
And if you had, this is I think a great value-based message for whoever's watching, not just for students, I think even for early professionals who are starting out and trying to navigate through, because what I have understood from, especially when we come across litigators, they say you will never understand what is coming at you. It's a field where everything's a bit cloudy, but you have to keep on going, trying to grasp what you are taking up and also building your knowledge base in it. So do you think also in that sense, the life of a fresher starting out in, let's say, litigation or in even a corporate law firm differs from somebody who's starting out in in-house roles?
So look, I started off as a litigator.
Yes, that's why I asked this
Yeah,
question. Yes.
so what you said is true, but not just for litigation, but for in-house also. And this transformation also was a very problematic thing for me, I remember still, because litigator and first time I stood in court, I had moot court experience, but not live court experience.
Right.
And live court was completely different from what moot court was. And I was in trial courts back then. And first, it took me some time to grasp how it actually works.
These are trial courts in Maharashtra?
No, I hail from Kerala.
Okay.
And these are trial courts in Kerala.
Okay.
So I first time I stood up in court, it was a completely different experience. But I still think that it was amazing learning that I got from there, because the learning that I got from trial court, or after trial court I went to high court, tribunals, a lot of Maharashtra, also I've been Bombay High Court and all those things I practiced. What I realized is that all that experience that I got from litigation helped me become a better in-house counsel also, because whatever decisions I am taking today, I can relate back and see how a court interprets it. And even when my external counsels are being overtly cautious,
Right.
I can actually bring a kind of balance to the whole situation, because I have worked on both sides. So litigation is one part, but why I said that it's also important for an in-house counsel is that as an in-house counsel, you cannot look at absolute clarity, because as I told you earlier, we are here to take calls, judgments based on what is risk and what is the business priority, right, and what is the benefit which comes out of it. If as an in-house counsel you go to the business and say, this is the law and so you cannot do that, then you will not be invited into the room after that. You will just fail as an in-house counsel. You need to learn how to operate in uncertainty and bring clarity to the situation and give a solution to the business person, not teach them law, solution to the business person as to what is the risk and what is the benefit, and help the business bring bring clarity and bring solution to that issue by bringing this.
Just being right is not enough. I think
just
being useful is equally important.
You are absolutely right. Yes. That is exactly I think that's a good tagline, that being useful is more important than being right.
Yes, because you could provide an information, but in the boardroom when they are trying to take on a certain decision, a clear position helps, not just okay, this is it, okay, they knew this was it, right?
That's right.
Thank you for sharing that perspective with us. I think that gives an acute insight into how an in-house counsel's mind operates at any point of time. It's just not based on a legal determination of whatever problems are coming up, but also catering to the technical understanding and nuances of how their business and the company operates. So that's a new learning for me also, and I hope for the people who've been listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much again for taking out the time to join us. We look forward to your continued support and engagement with National University Delhi.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.